Hi everybody. I am back to do another kit so that I can move on with my Christmas cards. So this is from Wrapped in Cheer, which was the paper pumpkin for November of 2025. So it's the most recent one. And it made these little boxes. Supposed to make these little boxes with a design on the front. And I don't have a need for a bunch of little boxes, so we're making cards. And I'm not going to go a bunch of crazy with altering them. I'm going to stamp these, and then I'm going to throw one together for you, and I have a finished one here I can show you. But so I'm going to start with stamping these so I can put the ink away, and because the red ink will definitely stain, and I'm always, every single time, I'm going to touch it. So I find the easiest way to stamp things is, if you know you're doing the same sentiment over and over, is line them up and go. I do have stamp positioning things, but for tiny stamps like this, I find the getting it out, putting it back in more tedious than just doing it. So we have Little Merry Christmas, which these are the stamps that came with it. And one of the things I like about Paper Pumpkin is they tend to have a good little variety of stamps. And I am going to stamp sideways because that's the way my brain works. And again, I'm stamping on a little piece of fun foam because I think it helps. I really do love this cherry cobbler ink. It makes me pretty content. And I try not to be an ink snob, but I tried a lot of inks, and there's a lot of things that I play around with, but I have been very happy with the inks from Stampin' Up. The color tends to be true, and they just seem to stamp neatly, and I've used them on their stamps and others. And as you know, once you've used your ink for your stamp for red, it is pink for eternity. It doesn't hurt it, but I still give it a wipe down if I can. And I will be cleaning my chamois tonight because, like I said, that red gets everywhere. But cherry cobbler, beautiful color. So, I don't know if you can see. So next to this is kind of a true red, and it's just that it is just a darker, deeper red. So what I have done for a card is I found some old retired paper, but any paper in this green colorway will work. I liked that it had this. This was Patterns of Green and Gold, I think was the name of it, from last year. And I'll show you how I folded it. And then I made a card like this, so I'll stamp a sentiment on the inside, and maybe throw a piece of scrap pattern paper in here or something. But I'm saying that's done-ish. It came with these little doodads that were supposed to be like berries, and I may throw them on, but they're kind of matte, and I don't love it. So if I do, I will probably put a coat of like clear Nuvo drops over the top of them. So I might just dig out something that I like better as far as shiny, or get out my stickles and throw some stickles on there. But that's what we're going to make. And so we're going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 5.25 by 4.25. So half of if you had a A4 card, and so you just use 1/4 of a sheet of paper of cardstock. And then you need your 12 by 12 paper. I've already cut a 4-inch strip off of this, so that's why it's not full-sized. And we're going to cut it at 4-inch strips. Now the nice thing about this is each sheet of pattern paper is going to give you 12, not 12, is it going to give you 3 cards. So this kit will make 8 if you put all the parts together that you're supposed to put together. Oh yeah, I still need this to score. So we're going to score this at 5 1/4 and 10 1/2. So if I was smart, I'd have done it 10 1/2, then 5 1/4, so I didn't have to back it up, but it is what it is. So I picked this paper specifically because we have 2 different colors of background, and I wanted to be able to use both. So, okay, the one I already made, I said over here. So because this back piece was red, I could put it on the green and it stuck out, because I was trying to look at other ways to use it on sort of plainer paper, and it was not making me happy. So this, when you fold this paper the way we fold it here, you're going to fold it this way, and whenever you set your crease, make sure your corners are together before you press it in, because you can always adjust it. And then the way I did the other one was folded this back this way. So, but if I decided I want to use the green one, you see how that's not, it's iffy. So we can fold it this way. And so it's going to stick over here a little ways. An option would be you can turn it and you could trim this down a little ways. So we'll be using this red tag. And this red tag would fit on it this way. So that's an option. I'm going to stick with, it's going to hang over that, and I think that because it's a different pattern and because it's on this, it's going to work out. There were lots of, the way they had them stacked up, they just had them straight like this on the box, all of the layers. I went a little askew because as a junk journaler, I'm in a card maker too, but junk journaling is something I do, so I tend to be a little more wonky in my approach. Also, I like tags, I like layers. So you could also snip this piece off if you wanted this whole thing to be gold. I like that it is there. It also gives this a little bit of structure since this is designer series paper and not cardstock. This is just a light green cardstock that I had laying around. I'm trying to use up my older cardstocks and get them out of rotation and make room for newer stuff. I am not going to use the tape runner on this because of all the bling. I'm going to go ahead and throw some glue at it. So it doesn't stick as fast, I feel like, on that. Everybody has a favorite adhesive, and for me, I don't know that I have a favorite because I have, I like different things about different kinds of adhesive. So I am going to take these two, which I am going to put askew like that, and I'm just going to put a little tiny smidgen of glue so that I can line those holes up, kind of make it how I want it, and press it down so that when we put it all on there, the glue will hold it together in the end, but that we can start messing with it. I wasn't sure how I felt about this white, and I contemplated for a minute snipping it off. I might do it on this one just so we can see if we like it more. And it has rounded corners, so I'm going to snip it off, and then I will round the corners with my corner rounder. If you do not have a corner rounder, you could leave it square, and or yeah, see, square would not hurt. You could round it, using just your scissors. That is not perfectly rounded. So I don't know. I kind of prefer that without the white. It's just me. So the green one, I don't think I hated as much, but with the red, it just was really strong to me. It came with some twine, just some crumb cake, I think, colored twine, basically tan. But I had this, which is white and gold. So when all else fails, bring on the bling, right? So I am just going to tie that through, throw a knot in it. You could make this a little twist. You could, you know, make a bigger ribbon and just leave it the tops of it. But since this has its little bow that comes with it, I sort of just did a double bow. And if you aren't good at tying bows, nobody is. I'm not saying that to be mean, but like all of us, when we start, that's how a bow looks, because our fingers are too big or whatever reason. So you just have to play until you get it how you like it. And sometimes that's feels like never, but don't give up, and don't think that, you know, just because somebody edited their video so it looks like they got the bow right on the first time that they did. They probably did not. So I'm going to put a tiny dot of glue in the middle of that knot and sort of press that into the fibers, and that should hopefully keep it from fraying. And because this has those little gold strings, hopefully keep your gold strings from taking a flying leap. So this has all of these little doodads, and this looks really good. When I did this, I kind of immediately regretted that I put the green on the green, and it does have, so it has a white side or a tan side, so you're able to do that. And so in retrospect, I would have done that, because you see how it kind of disappears in there. Or at the very least, I considered taking this and taking a lighter green and going over it and sponging it. But I really am trying to quickly make some cards, and therefore use what I have and make it handy. So we're going to use the back side of this, and I'm going to put just little dots. By the time we stack on the bow and other stuff will help hold this down. If you do not have a glue press, one of the tricks that I have learned over time for doing the glue is put a little pool of glue on the back of this part of your hand, or if that freaks you out, put it on, you know, a silicone mat, and then just tap the whole thing. So I'm going to take that off there before I get glue all over that while we're working on it. So then I'm going to take one of these, and I'm just randomly picking which order I put them in, and I'm not going completely crazy with it. I don't think it has to be so blinged out that it's, you know, off the rails. Jingle rails, no less. And don't panic about this big doohickey at the top. That's where the bow will be. So you could have, if you were trying to, you know, make that, if you were to cut that shorter and you wanted to make that smaller, I'm sure you could cut that little circle off the top of there. And do I want to do another sprig, or no, I don't. So, and these also have these ones, that little, are a dark and a light side, so you have some variation in the color, and I'm going to do that. And this is a tiny little piece. You go over there. You should have seen how careful I was being taking these out of the little, because I tend to be, you know, I'm yanking stuff out and I end up ripping it. When it's this tiny, I will absolutely tear it right up. Obviously not intentionally, but. And I'm going to take this bow. I also think if you wanted to pimp out the bow, we could ink it. We could ink smush it. We could take the ink and watercolor it. After I put this one on, we'll see how that works. I'm going to do it. I'll do it real quick, but not worry about putting it on a card after that, so we can just see how it goes. Because worst case scenario, I'm sure I have some sort of dye in here I can use to make another kind of bow. And then also, if it does end up with a bow, not one single person, like I could make one out of ribbon, not one single person who I would send it to would know that it was supposed to be there. So I just won't send it to you guys because then you'll know. You shall know the secrets. And so you could put this on with dimensionals, however you wanted to. I tend to, with a lot of my cards, I tend to go single. I do not add a bunch of stuff, not because I don't love dimension, but if it's going in the mail, I almost always end up having to pay that extra postage because I add some goodies with whatever I send. So I would rather send some happy mail and no dimensionals if I'm, honest, than go for the thing. So we'll take our Merry Christmas. And on the other one, I put it cattywampus like this. This one I'm feeling, since I cut that bottom off, it could go here. Kind of like that because it's shortened that. So it's just a matter of what appeals to your eye. And is my camera being a jerk and not focusing because of the bling? So throw some glue at it. I'm going to be totally weird for myself and go straight across because it actually shows off that these are not straight, at least in my mind. So, and let's see. I know I had some little bling over here. Seriously, bling, you were just right here. Mercy. Well, I'll put the ones that came with it on, and I may have to go over them with some gloss because, like I said, not in love with matte finish for this for Christmas. No. Do not do it. Come off there. No, I guess it does go there. The sticky stayed. Yeah, they're not as bad as all that with the matte finish. All right, so let's try this. I am going to get out my little piece of silicone mat, put these here, and let's see. I'll start with ever so slightly blending one of these. So if you have a mat like this, you can literally put your ink there and spread it. So we can make this a little light pink by doing it gently, or, go harder and make it red. I'm going to it's kind of cute. So if we were to have done that instead, we'd have a little pink bow. And now I'm going to trying to remember where I put my little tiny block. Just a little bit. This is a very juicy pad, so I don't want to waste too much ink. I act like ink is $10 million. Like a refill for that'll last me a lifetime is $5, but still. I don't like to waste any more money than I have to. You know what? I don't know why I'm doing all that. same to this guy that I've already done. Give him a little ink smushy action. I don't know about you, but I kind of dig it, even if it's not necessarily going with the style that we have going on. I'm going to do the other ones. Get in there. All right, I'm going to do those for now. And then, obviously, I've made a giant mess. So if you're looking at the silicone mat and being like, that is cool, it is. But just seriously go and get one from the baking supply stores, because this one I think I got at Goodwill, and it was a Ranger one, but it's literally the same thing you get at, you know. And if I used it more often, my glass mat wouldn't be covered in glue all the time. Like, the numbers of times I have to take it to the bathroom to clean it is kind of embarrassing. All right, let me dry these real quick. Well, I don't know about you, but I think that's cool. The fact that they felt like watercolor paper made me feel like we should do this. And yeah, there's some, the thing about it is I don't know, it's not focusing great. I kind of like that it has the little white edges and stuff. And this one definitely looks like it was ink smushed instead of just painted. I'm not sure why my camera wants to not show me what it's doing sometimes, and then I can't tell if you can see or not. So, obviously each of these has a different amount. You could leave them like that, add more, but I feel like, yeah, you could definitely play with this. So, I hope everybody had fun. I hope you learned something, even if you don't have the kit. Get out some papers, cut them up like this. I love this card layout. Also, here's the one the first one I made. And I just cut, this is 5 by 3 3/4 inch piece of white cardstock to put on the inside to sign. Because when you do this and it's patterned paper, obviously this is, and it also, that's why I tried to get away with using, like lesser cardstock on this, because you put that other layer and it gets pretty sturdy. Also, I've ordered new blades, so I have to take a file, get rid of all these stupid fuzzies that comes from the blade needing sharpened, or, well, in this case, replaced. So there we go. I'm going to go make 6 more of these, and I think I'm going to have pink bows. So have a great day, guys. Bye.